means the rest of the public, Kenya pipeline company workers, we are going to share the 44.85% now. Uganda, through UNOP, having taken 20.15%, and Kenya government 35%. Let me also remind you that in May 2024, Uganda National Oil Company signed a transportation and storage agreement with the KPC for the purposes of using the Kenya Pipeline Company system and infrastructure to handle the importation of all our products through Mombasa. And it is supplemented by the ports of Dar es Salaam and Tanga in Tanzania. The 95 that goes through the pipeline amounts to about 2.96 billion liters annually. This and then the remaining 5% imported through Tanzania. It is also worth noting that 65% of the transit volumes through the Kenya pipeline system are destined for Uganda. So when you make a calculation, therefore, Uganda contributes about 35% of the revenues of the company. 35% as a single market, 35%. It was therefore important for the government of Uganda, through Uganda National Oil Company, to maximize its shareholding in the Kenya Pipeline Company due to the company's criticality, and to secure additional guarantees and protections to manage the inherent conflict arising from the divested shareholding. So, Minister of Finance, the Attorney General, Minister of Constitutional Affairs, my team, all of them worked together to make sure that we successfully engage the government of Kenya to reach this milestone. Through these engagements, the government of Kenya has offered the government of Uganda the following concessions.
Let's talk tourism now, because as Uganda embarks on one of the world's largest tourism expo, the IT in Berlin, Germany, Ismail Sichiu, based in Switzerland and founder of Life Cycling Uganda, says the sport is already making destination Uganda through long-distance rides across the country's national parks, crater lakes, and mountain terrain are popular. He urges that adding curated cycling expeditions to Uganda's premium safari packages could attract high-net-worth travelers, especially from Europe, seeking active and sustainable holidays. This as tourism sector continues its strong recovery, with international arrivals rising to about 1.37 million visitors and tourism earnings reaching roughly about $1.28 billion, according to government figures. Ismail, you're very welcome to Ntv Business.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Yeah, sure. So what are you doing here? You're Ugandan. I expected to find you with bikes here.
Yeah.
What are you doing at the Tourism Expo?
Actually, my plan was to come with my bicycle.
Yeah.
Because the Tourism Expo is about tourism and marketing Uganda.
Yeah.
And cycling is one of the few known sports that we have in Uganda.
Yeah. So what's the potential of cycling to promote Uganda, to promote tourism in Uganda? Why do you call it cycling tourism or sports tourism?
Sports tourism, we call it cycling tourism. It's because a cyclist comes into the country with their bike, or rents a bike in Uganda, and he goes around cycling. The reason why it is important cycling brings in revenue.
Yeah.
For example, a tourist will come, a tourist will need somewhere to sleep, a tourist will need something to eat, a tourist will need a guide, he'll need a cycling mechanic. And if so, a tourist will need to rent a bike from someone who rents out bikes. So there's a lot of potential in cycling tourism. You know, the first place here in Switzerland, Switzerland is a cycling country. Uganda, we have the adventure cycling trails, one of the best, as I tell you, because I've cycled in Europe, I've cycled in Greece, I've cycled in Italy, I've cycled here in Switzerland. And I tell you, in Uganda, with our green, with our weather, there is nothing that beats the cycling atmosphere in Uganda. I am into the Swiss Cycling Fraternity in Zurich. I am a member. And the thing is that we're looking at a partnership, because I have really had a lot of questions. How can we come and cycle in Uganda?
That's all for you we had on Business Now in this edition, keeping you ahead of the stories on our economy and its place in the global marketplace. I'm Malcolm Sime, and the show is made possible by, again, Absa Bank Uganda, your partner in growth, and it will help your business and other entrepreneurs who want sales opportunities when they come through. Join us next week, this time from Berlin, Germany, by the way, as we continue to track energy infrastructure, tourism, and finance, bringing you the updates that matter for Uganda, Africa, and beyond. Business Now.
Right?
Right.
Then, why do 7 out of 10 kids have cavities, sir? Because whatever this toothpaste has for cavity protection, isn't enough. Double Herbal contains clove. My mother says it contains eugenol, which is 100% effective in cavity protection. Look, no cavity. Where there's clove, there's no cavity.
Kampala Nile Resort, a world customized for your business needs. Our modern conference facilities mounted with LED screens and PA systems offer a visualized presentation experience. Our fitness centers, relaxation areas, and green spaces are ideal for corporate company events, retreats, and team building activities. Book with us today. Kampala Nile Resort.
Beautiful, soft care pads. So fit, so right.
Ntv, turning on your world.
Forty-two Ugandan students have been evacuated from Iran to Turkey as tensions escalate in the Middle East following deadly attacks that have heightened global security and economic fears. Now, as violence escalates, Gulf shipping disruptions have pushed up oil prices, raising fuel supply concerns across the globe. We bring you details to this report and we have so much lined up for you tonight. But first, let's take a look at the headlines.
NTV Tonight.
Brought to you by
DFCU, going further together. Tonight,
we source from different parts of the world, not just the Middle East.
Government dispels fears of possible hikes in the prices of fuel caused by the disruption in supply due to the conflict in the Middle East, insisting that the country has sufficient stocks.
Our cargo that was meant to come in for this month to take care of the next weeks has already passed off.
The government reveals that it has evacuated 42 Ugandan students from Iran to Turkey in an effort to keep them safe following the weekend's attacks on their country.
As government of Uganda, we give priority to those students who are studying within Tehran.
Also on NTV Tonight. A week after Kampala's actions, city authorities in Mbale start the process of evicting street vendors from ungazetted trading spaces. Many are in tears.
Those who are reluctant to move, that is why you see that there is some enforcement.
And
kindly be ready to answer all questions.
MPs take action against the Ministry of Public Service for failing to explain how civil servants ended up involving themselves in the recently concluded general elections.
#240# anytime to pay bills, buy airtime, send money, load floats, manage cards, and even grab a loan of up to 5 million shillings. Welcome to DFCU Bank Kumapesa. Real banking convenience on your Mapesa phone.
DFCU, going further together.
This is NTV Tonight.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I am Betty Mudondo, together with Susan Mujawa Ananda on sign language, and this is NTV Tonight. We begin the bulletin with the government dispelling fears of possible fuel price hikes arising from supply disruptions linked to the conflict in the Middle East. The Ugandan National Oil Company, the sole importer of oil and petroleum products, says this month's shipment is within reach and has urged the public not to engage in panic buying. Now, Jackson Onyango starts us off this evening.
The Middle East conflict, which is in its third day, has paralyzed the shipment of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. The waterway is a critical route which accounts for 20% of the
manage cards and even grab a loan of up to 5 million shillings. Welcome to DFCU Bank Kumapesa. Real banking convenience on your Mapesa phone.
DFCU, going further together.
This is NTV Tonight.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I am Betty Mudondo, together with Susan Mujawa Ananda on sign language, and this is NTV Tonight. We begin the bulletin with the government dispelling fears of possible fuel price hikes arising from supply disruptions linked to the conflict in the Middle East. The Ugandan National Oil Company, the sole importer of oil and petroleum products, says this month's shipment is within reach and has urged the public not to engage in panic buying. Now, Jackson Onyango starts us off this evening.
The Middle East conflict, which is in its third day, has paralyzed the shipment of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. The waterway is a critical route which accounts for 20% of the global fuel supplies. However, the retaliation by Iran across the Middle East following a weekend joint attack by United States and Israel on Tehran, which claimed an estimated 500 people, including the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has seen 3 ships attacked. Oil markets are responding to the turmoil with a hike in prices reported elsewhere as Brent crude oil, which is the benchmark of oil prices, has jumped to $82 a barrel, up from $72. A barrel of Brent crude oil is approximately 159 liters. Despite the concerns, the government has dispelled the fears of price hikes or shortages within.
I do not think there's anything to worry about. First and foremost, our cargo that was meant to come in for this month to take care of the next weeks has already passed the Strait of Hormuz. Now, that is for the cargo that was coming in from the Middle East.
An alternative Uganda national oil company, UNOC, which is the sole importer of petroleum products, banks on is through the sourcing of the fuel from elsewhere other than in the Middle East.
UNOC and its partner Vitol procure or get these oil products from different parts of the world. If you recall, about some months ago, when there was a strike on Iran, the same thing that also caused a little bit of confusion around the Middle East, we brought in product all the way from India, from Singapore, from the Americas. So we source from different parts of the world, not just the Middle East.
They quash the fears of the increasing prices.
I should encourage, and I would encourage the Wananchi or the ordinary person, that we are managing this resource and bring it into the country sustainably well. They shouldn't be worried about anything. We are going to make sure that everything stays calm.
A critical difference between the June 2025 war between Israel and Iran, which lasted 12 days, is that the crucial Strait of Hormuz was never closed. Iran hardly attacked the neighboring states like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates and Kuwait, which are oil-producing countries during the war in 2025, but it has done so in this round of the attacks, leading to the closure of some of the liquefied natural gas production plants. However, traders say the war has so far impacted them following the cancellation of flights.
To the UAE, you know, when it's Ramadan, most of the Muslim attires, sharias, hijabs, kanzus, and what have you, are normally sourced from Dubai, Egypt, and some other Arab countries.
Members of Kampala City Traders Association are anticipating an immediate hike in the prices of the goods which are imported from the United Arab Emirates. The Middle East is an intermediary with major airports and airlines that connect with the rest of the world. Uganda imports textiles, machinery, and electronics from the United Arab Emirates, and in turn exports gold, coffee, tea, and fish.
Someone had booked a flight to go pick some fish areas for kids and whatever. By the time maybe this whatever normalizes, you will not have a demand to travel because the season has already gone. So you can see the possible losses that our people are going to make.
However, for many, the common prayer is for an immediate halt to the war to stop things going out of control. Jackson Onyango, NTV.
Now that story informs our opinion poll question tonight, where we ask, what should diplomats do to end the conflict in Iran? Our opinion poll question tonight, what should diplomats do to end the conflict in Iran? You can be part of this conversation on our different social media platforms, that is NTV Uganda on X, NTV Uganda on Facebook, and we are streaming live on ntv.co.ug. Be part of that conversation and we shall come later to read some of your opinions. Now, in a related development, the situation in the Middle East continues to unfold with far-reaching consequences for the region and the global economy. Oil markets opened today with energy prices rising sharply, putting the global economic recovery at risk, as explosion rocked parts of the region from Israel to Iran amid a new round of strikes by Tehran on multiple targets. Now let's take a look at this.
Experts are warning that the joint US-Israeli attack on Iran could spark a major disruption in fuel prices around the world. This comes after Saudi Arabia's state oil giant Aramco shut down its Ras Tanura refinery after it was hit by a drone, an apparent escalation of response by Tehran in response to the US-Israeli attack on Iran. An eyewitness video shared from Ras Tanura showed heavy smoke billowing from the refinery, covering industrial complex. The Ras Tanura complex on the kingdom's Gulf Coast houses one of the Middle East's largest refineries, with a capacity of 550,000 barrels per day and serves as a critical export terminal for Saudi crude. Before this, global oil prices had already risen after at least 3 ships were attacked near the Strait of Hormuz, as Iran continues to launch strikes across the Middle East in response to ongoing attacks by the US and Israel. According to the UK Maritime Trade Operations Centre, 2 vessels have been struck and an unknown projectile was reported to have exploded in very close proximity to a third. Iran has warned ships not to pass through the Hormuz Strait, which carries about 20% of the world's oil and gas. International shipping has almost come to a standstill as the straits enters, with analysts warning that a prolonged conflict could push energy prices even higher. The latest development have prompted concern from some countries. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot regretted the conflict in the Middle East, asking why the differences with Iran could not be resolved at the United Nations before conflict broke out.
It is deeply regrettable that this situation could not be resolved within the framework of international institutions, which are the only ones capable of creating the foundations for lasting peace and stability.
Barrot also expressed his country's life have also rocked several parts of the Middle East, from Israel to Iran, as Tehran launches a new round of strikes on various targets against counter-move strategy.
Violence, the government has...
in a drone attack targeting the port of Abu Dhabi, fortunately resulting only in limited material damage. Last night, a drone reportedly crashed at a British base in Cyprus.
In response, the European Union Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said the only lasting solution to the crisis in Iran is a diplomatic one.
We must work hard to de-escalate and stop the conflict spreading. In the last hours, we have witnessed numerous attacks, including a drone attack targeting the British airbase in Cyprus.
However, an unrepentant US President Donald Trump said the joint US-Israeli military operation against Iran would last up to 4 weeks, as Iran forces unleashed multiple waves of counterattacks targeting American and Israeli assets across the Middle East. Explosions have also rocked several parts of the Middle East, from Israel to Iran, as Tehran launches a new round of strikes on various targets against counter-moves by Israel and the US.
Amid the escalating violence, the government has currently evacuated 42 Ugandan students from Iran to Turkey in an effort to keep them safe. According to the State Minister of Foreign Affairs, John Mulimba, Ugandans in countries affected by the Iranian war had been asked to contact Ugandan embassies before attempting to leave the embattled nations. Among the stranded victims are Ugandans who were planning to head to Mecca for the annual pilgrimage. Now let's take a look at this report.
Since the joint Israel and US attack on Iran started over the weekend, rockets have dominated the skies over the Middle East, leading to the loss of lives, injuries and damaged property. The countries involved in the conflict include Iran, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, among others. However, these countries are also home to many Ugandans. Some of these work there, while others are on private trips, including religious pilgrimages. Regardless of the circumstances that took them there, many are now unable to travel anywhere else due to air travel suspension. John Mulimba, the State Minister of Foreign Affairs in charge of regional cooperation, says they have transferred several Ugandan students from Iran and are currently in Turkey.
The students, we have a number of students, as you are aware, who are in Iran pursuing studies, different studies. Some were in Tehran, the capital city, where actually is the center of conflict. Others are in different cities. So as government of Uganda, we give priority to those students who are studying within Tehran. We have managed to evacuate for the 2 of them, and as we speak now, they arrived safely the other day in Istanbul, Republic of Turkey.
Mulimba advised Ugandans still in Iran to see how to inform the Ugandan embassy about them. However, he was speaking at a time when Uganda is yet to appoint an ambassador in Iran.
It's a bit complex now to evacuate, but we try to advise, give advisory to our people who are out there to stay safe. Keeping safe, operate from home, don't get out to the streets, and make sure that you communicate to our embassies through the internet.
Among the affected people were pilgrims to Saudi Arabia in Mecca.
To get out all those that we shall manage to get out and make them safe. Unfortunately, as of now, the aviation industry within and around the Gulf states, the neighborhood to Iran, has shut down.
Munimba said the war started to affect trade and oil prices.
You can see big airlines have shut down. You can see so many businesses are affected. You can see the transport of fuel from the fuel producing countries have come to a stalemate.
However, Shadow Foreign Affairs Minister Mwada Nkunyinji says that although the government is now explaining how to evacuate Ugandans, more need to be done to help Ugandans in the Arabian Peninsula.
Measures are being undertaken to ensure that they are supported and rescued, because some of them may now lack funds and any support to sustain themselves. And it's very expensive to remain in such areas. Some may not be allowed even to enter those countries.
Mwada adds that many Ugandans stranded in the Arab countries were stuck due to failure to access connecting flights, while others were performing religious pilgrimage.
As well, most of the connecting airports for Uganda travelers are largely in the Middle East. So we have hundreds of Ugandans who are stranded and who are among the victims at airports within the Middle East.
Uganda, in her capacity as chairperson of the non-aligned movement, has urged the rival countries to lay down their arms and use dialogue. Juma Kiria, NTV.
Thanks, Juma Kiria, for that report. And amid escalating attacks in Tehran, Iranian authorities insist the government remains intact despite the killing of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and several top military officials, with plans already underway to ensure continuity of leadership. We bring you details tonight.
On Saturday evening, Israel and US carried out a joint attack that claimed the lives of 200 people, including the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. Following Saturday's devastating events, the Middle East became the scene of extensive unrest, with Iran retaliating against several countries in the region, supporting US and Israeli bases. The devastation has continued into this morning, with substantial attacks on Tel Aviv in Israel, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Qatar airports. In the meantime, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi says Iran has always been open to diplomacy, despite the US and Israeli airstrikes over the weekend that killed Iran's Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and several top military officials.
Well, Iran has been always open to diplomacy. And I think we have a very good record of that. Contrary to Americans, that their record is very bad and very negative. You know, this is the second time that we negotiated with Americans and they decided to attack us right in the middle of negotiation. So the first, rocket or missile or whatever that they fired hits the negotiation table. It happened exactly the same last June.
The 86-year-old Khamenei was killed on Saturday in an airstrike targeting his central Tehran compound. The attack, carried out jointly by Israel and the United States, struck after decades of unsuccessful diplomatic efforts regarding Iran's nuclear program. Despite the escalation in conflict, the Iranian foreign minister stressed that Iran's commitment to maintaining peaceful relations with Gulf nations remains resolute.
The demise of the leader doesn't mean that, regime change or the change of the political system in Iran. No, we have a very well-established political system. We have a very rich constitution. And based on that, all, state institutions are in place. They are doing their job, their function. And as I explained before, even in the demise of the Supreme Leader, we have a procedure and that we have immediately activated. And you will see the result either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, that a new leader would be appointed by the Assembly of Experts.
Further afield, the Israeli army clashed with Hezbollah fighters in southern Lebanon in an escalation of the regional conflict. This followed announcements by the Israeli army calling on residents of more than 50 villages in Lebanon to evacuate after Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon exchanged fire. The This prompted heavy traffic jams in Lebanon as people flee their homes, with one resident labeling the situation as absolutely miserable. Iranian missiles have struck the Israeli city of Beit Shemesh, killing at least 9 people, according to Israel's ambulance service, the deadliest attack on Israel since this war began.
Away from that report, city authorities in Mbale have launched a crackdown on street vendors, evicting those operating along ungazetted lanes and roadside spaces after a one-week ultimatum expired. Working with police and the army, officials say the move aims to restore order following a similar operation in Kampala last week that saw non-compliant vendors' goods confiscated or destroyed. Let's take a look.
Early this morning, city authorities in Mbale started the eviction of all street vendors there following the end of a one-week ultimatum to leave the streets. Many of those who failed to comply with the orders saw their shacks destroyed and confiscated in some cases. Geoffrey Mugasa, the town clerk in Industrial Division who led the team, explained that the eviction operation had started today and would continue until Friday.
There were a lot of sheds, makeshift structures, everything here. And here we estimate we have been having over, like maybe over 600 or 700 people operating here, selling second-hand clothes, shoes, and all that you have been, But most of these things have been selling. They have a provision in the market. All their spaces are empty, so we hope they will be going back.
However, he said most of the street vendors had agreed to comply with the new city orders. He added that all those who had been evicted would be given access to one of the 1,000 spaces in the 6 markets run by the city.
We have Gwe Road Market, we have Kumi Road Market, we have Kichindu Market, we have Samaga Market, we have several markets. So we think that these people will be going back to where they came from. And these people have come from these markets. So
Mugasa explained that they had been moved to impose the new trade order after acknowledging that they were losing a lot of local tax revenue by allowing the vendors to operate in ungazetted spaces. He also warned those planning to wait out the operation before returning to their ungazetted spaces that security forces had been instructed to continue patrolling the city and arresting errant traders.
We are planning to see how we can sustain the exercise, because it's not like you have gone for a battle and you have won. No.
Enough, many of them have moved out of the streets without force. But those who are reluctant to move, that is why you see that there is some enforcement. The target is the whole city, both northern and industrial.
However, a section of street vendors had accused council leaders of not engaging them before carrying out the evictions as they had bills to pay.
We're asking for a grace period so that we can organize ourselves and decide where to go next. Our property is being destroyed, and at this moment, many of us are struggling even to find school fees for our children. As LC1 leaders, it feels like government does not recognize us, as though we do not exist. There should have been proper engagement and dialogue with us and the people we represent. Instead of consultation, our community is being subjected to suffering. It is therefore painful and confusing that the same council has today returned with police and the army to demolish the very structures without talking to us as local leaders.
They're asking for more time to relocate. They're appealing to the president to intervene in the matter. This follows a similar operation in Kampala a week ago in which street vendors were ordered off the streets. A similar operation is in the offing in Barara next week.
You're still watching NTV Tonight, and in this Lenten Moment segment, Father Joseph John Baptist Senkari, Assistant Judicial Vicar of Kampala Archdiocese, shares insights on the sacraments priests perform for Christians during this season.
I would like to welcome you on this program today in a special way as we address the season of Lent. During the Lenten period, yes, there is a perception that some sacraments may not be done during the Lenten period, but I would say all sacraments actually should be emphasized during the Lenten period. But we need to take note, because the Lenten period is when we have to put our tone a bit low. It's a moment of reflecting on our sinfulness.
Former Student Affairs Coordinator at Uganda Christian University, Pamela Tumwebaze, and ask what happened.
Focusing on our sinfulness. So the basic sacrament that we should focus on during the Lenten period, one of it is penance, that's reconciliation. Make sure you get time to reflect on your sinfulness and return back to God. So if there is no way you are going to do this without receiving the sacrament of penance. So if you are to fulfill those three themes of Lent, that is repentance, penance, and then reconciliation. Then we use the main themes of the other acts that help us to fulfill the themes. So those three help us to be repentant, help us to realize our sinfulness, and bring back our reconciliation between God and man. So the basic sacrament that we should all emphasize during this time is the Eucharist. First of all is penance, and then the Eucharist, because those are two almost move together. But
Still to come. Nearly a month later, we return to the matter of the murdered former Student Affairs Coordinator at Uganda Christian University, Pamela Tumwebaze, and ask what happened. And in business, Uganda's labor externalization program gets set to become the country's strongest foreign exchange pillar, bringing in over 5 trillion shillings in the last financial year.
A lot of money is actually accessed from these companies.
These and more stories coming up on NTV Tonight.
Sometimes dad neetaaga akawa kankuuma nga ndi mukakamu akaasigaza nga ndi mupya mu bbugumu mpulira nga kamulembe okuyingira mu kiro akawangala okusinga okuwoowo bw'ebbeeyi. New Downy Lavender Calm Sunrise Fresh and Sweet Elegance okudda obujja obuleetera omuntu okwekkiririzaamu.
Kids.
So, most kids use this toothpaste, right?
Right.
Then, why do 7 out of 10 kids have cavities, sir? Because whatever this toothpaste has for cavity protection, isn't enough. Double Habu contains clove. My mother says it contains eugenol, which is 100% effective in cavity protection. Look, no cavity. Where there's clove, there's no cavity.
Wah! Ebiseera bibadde bikaloba ddala. Nakyusa, nagenda ku detergent ya Lycée. Nalina okwoza buli kimu emirundi 2. Sasaali nakyakola naddeyo ku Ariel
okuyonja okw'anamadala mulooza lumu lwokka.
Get the new Always #1 Skin Hygiene Protection, giving you a heavy flow 3 times better protection. Available in stores near you now at 2,500 shillings.
Oluusi neetaaga akawa kankuuma nga ndi mukakamu akaasigaza nga ndi mupya mu bbugumu mpulira nga kamulembe okuyingira mu kiro akawangala okusinga okuwoowo bw'ebbeeyi. New Downy Lavender Calm Sunrise Fresh and Sweet Elegance okudda obujja obuleetera omuntu okwekkiririzaamu.
I can't believe how much Northern Uganda has changed. New roads, bustling markets. My name is Troy, and I'm a fashion designer from Kampala. I'm actually hunting for discarded denim to turn into something new. These roads have opened everything up again. And what is? these new markets are packed with Mivumba. What I found is a region full of life. Thriving trade, new markets, clean water, solar power, and so much more. All backed by investment from the European Union. Just a few days in the north, and I knew exactly what my new collection should look like. It's time to cut these pieces apart and stitch them into something completely new. This region has always had the will. Now it has the way. Together, Tukola, made by Ugandans, backed by the European Union.
In this sacred month of Ramadan, we reflect, we pray, we give, and we rest. As you observe Suhoor and stand in Taraweh, may your nights be filled with Sakina, your du'as be accepted, and your heart overflow with shukr. Let resting on rose-foam mattresses be part of your journey, so you wake up refreshed, ready for another blessed day of ibadah and kindness. Ramadan Kareem from
Rose Farm, a world of beautiful dreams.
This is NTV Tonight.
Welcome back from that break. You're still watching NTV Tonight. Members of Parliament on the Public Accounts Committee have dismissed officials from the Public Service Ministry for failing to explain how civil servants became involved in the recently concluded general elections. Reports indicate that some civil servants served as polling assistants and election agents, while several resident district commissioners allegedly disrupted the process. In violation of public standing orders and the law, the ministry officials appeared to account for the 2025 Auditor General's report, and Juma Kiria reports.
During the just concluded 2026 general elections, several civil servants were hired to take part in the preparations of the poll for the errant civil servant and would consult on the matter.
Not the head of public service. Because you've addressed that question to the head of public service. I am not the head of public service. I'm PS, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Public Service.
Legislators who asked her to excuse herself so she could get some more information on the matter before reporting back to the committee. After failing to get satisfactory response from the returning Bitara Kwate, the MPs asked the Public Service Ministry delegation to leave and return on another date.
What I was thinking is that let us handle other business. By the time we finish, they will have gotten the answer. Calls are still almost free. They are not as expensive. You can call the Attorney General.
When you return, kindly be ready to answer all questions. Some questions might be stupid from that side, but they mean a lot to Ugandans because we represent people.
Sir, because the question is both administrative and legal. With due respect, I beg you, Chair, to see this as the most respect I can give to Parliament instead of giving a frivolous answer.
Honorable colleagues, painfully, I beg that we see off our dear colleagues from this side.
The MPs allege that many civil servants who were involved in the elections were also behind electoral malpractices. This they say, including the RDCs, whom they accused of being at the center of several controversies. Juma Kiria, NTV.
Away from Parliament, ongoing roadworks across Kampala are facing delays as police report rising incidents of vandalism and the illegal sale of construction materials. Authorities warn that some thefts may involve collusion between site workers and nearby residents, a pattern highlighted by supervising companies. David Ijo reports on this.
Roadworks have become part of the daily soundtrack of Kampala. A stroll through the city centre and its surrounding neighbourhoods reveals roads under repair. From the busy Namungona-Bwaise stretch along the northern bypass to Bukoto, the industrial area and the Nalia-Najera corridor all signal a city under reconstruction. However, beneath the visible transformation, police have raised concern over increasing incidents of vandalism targeting construction materials at various sites. According to authorities, supplies meant for public works are mysteriously disappearing, sometimes before they are even put to use. In response, Police have issued a stern warning against the theft and illicit sale of construction materials. They say reports from companies overseeing the projects have been consistent, prompting closer monitoring of work sites across the metropolitan area.
One of the biggest challenges in road construction and so many government projects we are having is the sale and the buying of construction material meant for these government projects. So we are having a problem with some of these fellows. I did not want to bring their names forward immediately so that we first arrive at the depth of this matter. But I want to use this opportunity as a warning to many people out there who think that when there is a government road being constructed in your area, you go and start buying aggregate stones and things of that nature.
Meanwhile, on the broader crime front, law enforcement reports more than 3,000 arrests recorded last month alone. Of these, 2,050 suspects have already been presented before courts of law on a range of charges.
By Friday, we had taken over 2,556 suspects to court. At least I needed to share that, and also to bring to your attention that over time, in just the month of Feb, so far the number is standing at 3,132.
The Kampala metropolitan area leads in arrest figures, a statistic that reflects both its defense population and its complex urban challenges. David Ijo, NTV.
Thanks, David Ijo, for that report. Now, on 13th February, former Student Affairs Coordinator at Uganda Christian University in Mukono, Pamela Tumwebaze, was brutally murdered under unclear circumstances. In an effort to investigate Pamela's death, her former employee, Hussein Toiko, was arrested and charged with murder. Although the police are investigating, Sudhirubya Ruhanga has been piecing together what we know about the death of this woman to help us find out the truth. And tonight we bring you a more detailed report on this.
You understand? Guilty, just like me, just like you.
On the 10th of February, Pamela Tumwebaze led a service during a community hour at Uganda Christian University in Koyoyo Hall. Her preaching focused on forgiveness. She told the congregation that for one to enter God's kingdom, one must learn to repent and forgive.
Because you want your sins to be forgiven, the same way you do what? You forgive others.
Tumwebaze, who had risen through the ranks, from an assistant lecturer to the director of students' affairs, had no idea that this was going to be her last day to appear in public and to serve the Lord, something she loved to do wholeheartedly. Also, during her previous sermons in chapel, she once shared with believers that she was once challenged by her children after telling them the importance of working towards going to heaven.
They say that for you to go to heaven, you have to die.
Pamela's death. Her former employee, Hussein Toiko, was arrested and charged with murder. Although the police are investigating, Sudhirubya Ruhanga has been piecing together what we know about the death of this woman to help us find out the truth. And tonight we bring you a more detailed report on this.
You understand? Guilty, just like me, just like you.
On the 10th of February, Pamela Tumwebaze led a service during a community hour at Uganda Christian University in Koyoyo Hall. Her preaching focused on forgiveness. She told the congregation that for one to enter God's kingdom, one must learn to repent and forgive.
Because you want your sins to be forgiven, the same way you do what? You forgive others.
Tumwebaze, who had risen through the ranks, from an assistant lecturer to the director of students' affairs, had no idea that this was going to be her last day to appear in public and to serve the Lord, something she loved to do wholeheartedly. Also, during her previous sermons in chapel, she once shared with believers that she was once challenged by her children after telling them the importance of working towards going to heaven.
They say that for you to go to heaven, you have to die. It was a blow. I want to go on and tell you my emotions, but they told me that you have to die. Now, right as they are, completely right, I also need to emphasize to you that we shall die.
This is Gwafu Village, Goma Division, in Seta Mukono District. It is dotted with mainly red mat roofed houses. This is the home of the late Pamela Tumwebaze, the former Director of Deans of Students at the Uganda Christian University. Recently, the police handed over the home to the relatives after combing it for every possible piece of evidence they could put together against the perpetrator.
Nothing, just...
You had never cleaned that room before?
Yeah, because no one was staying there.
So you never used to clean it?
Yeah.
For the 1 week we were here, you never cleaned that room?
I checked here when there is nobody.
On that fateful night, after checking everywhere and confirming that the house was safe, Pamela, who had separated from her husband about 10 years ago, went out for dinner with her 2 sons, and they returned home at around 10 p.m.
I couldn't recognize the voice of the guy.
At that time, they were living with their maid, a 20-year-old Sharifa Rantali. On that fateful night, after Tumwebaze and the children returned home, Sharifa did her night routine of checking everywhere to ensure there was no intruder in the house. Next to the children's room was a visitor's room where they always kept clothes after washing them. Rantali checked the room, but the bed had a duvet which ran up to the floor on the front side. However, when we pulled the bed cover off, there was a big space under the bed, and it is believed this is where the intruder hid. You were employed for a week. You went in that room to check, and you didn't check under. Why?
Nothing, just...
You had never cleaned that room before?
Yeah, because no one was staying there.
So you never used to clean it?
Yeah.
For the 1 week we were here, you never cleaned that room?
I checked here when there is nobody.
On that fateful night, after checking everywhere and confirming that the house was safe, Rantali went to her bedroom, which is next to the kitchen, and where the shoe racks for Pamela and the children are kept. She always kept all the keys for the main house doors in the gate. As she slept, she heard someone opening the door and switching on the lights. After switching on the lights, the assailant started looking for the keys, meaning he knew who used to keep the keys and where.
He was checking this drawer like this. Then when I put my head up like this, I said, he just said like this, where are the keys? I said, gave the keys to him. Then he was disguising himself with Aunt Pam's clothes, wearing Aunt Pam's jean dress.
The intruder shut the maid's room door and headed towards the kitchen door, which had 2 padlocks. After gaining full consciousness from sleep, Rantali wondered why her boss was going out at around 2 a.m., something she had never done.
I came here, I hold these shoes. I said, no, this is not Aunt Pam. I came out like this. I opened the door. He was here trying to open this door, this main door.
And was only holding a pair of shorts in his hand.
Still there in Aunt Pam's room. I put these shoes there. Then I removed the knife here. And this was the knife I was holding. Then I came back like this. He was still in Aunt Pam's room. I came, I hold the knife like this. Then he told me, you enter, come and enter here, you see Aunt Pam. Aunt Pam knows me.
Opposite the Tumwebaze's room was the children's room, which was open. Rantali entered and woke up Pamela's sons.
Guys, wake up. Do you know this guy? No. Do you know this guy? No. Which guy? Did you open for anyone when I'm sleeping? No. Then we went. I stood here. He tried he kept on trying to open the door. Then I told the kids, you go back. Aunt Pam was lying here. This side was lying here. This side, bed cover up to his face.
In the meantime, when Rantali was waking up the children, the intruder also went for a knife in the kitchen. You got a knife from where?
From the other drawer I got this one from. Yeah. He just did like this. I told guys, let us go back.
Did he threaten you?
No. He didn't let me. He didn't threaten me, but I was just scared myself.
As the children went to their mother's bedroom to confirm, the assailant went to the kitchen door and started opening the padlocks. The children then went to their mother's bed to confirm if she was there or not.
They just put the bed covers like this. They told me, Mommy's here. I said, you call her. You call your mom, you confirm that he's there and he's breathing.
So for you, why didn't you come to also call mom?
Yes, after that man getting out, I went back. I closed the door very well. Then I came back. I started calling Aunt Pam, not responding.
The intruder, after opening the padlocks, left the keys behind before fleeing. The intruder never hurt anyone, meaning he knew what he had come to do, and perhaps he was told not to hurt anybody else. All attempts were made to call and pull Pamela to see if she could respond, but she wasn't responding. The maid then asked the children to call police.
We first called the police, 999. Yeah.
The police responded immediately, but the maid failed to give them proper directions since she was new in the area. She then asked the children to call anyone else they knew, but they did not have airtime. Thus, using the maid's line, which had 200 shillings of airtime, only enough for beeping. They were using your line?
Yeah, even the driver took long to respond because they were not knowing the number.
In a few minutes, the driver, who did not stay far from the late's home, arrived at the gate and started knocking. The shocked driver went straight to the boss's bedroom, and when she was not responsive, the maid dressed Pamela before she and the driver carried her to the car.
The driver carried Aunt Pam up to there. Then even me, I helped him. We went up to the car.
At this point, the two sons of the late, aged 13 and 10, joined in putting Pamela into the car. The two sons sat in the same car, and the driver drove to Namirembe Church of Uganda Hospital, where the doctors confirmed that Tumwebaze was dead. The driver then called relatives of the late, and Joseph Tumwebaze was one of the first people he called.
I found her children still in the car. They had delivered their mother to the hospital, probably hoping that she was not yet dead, hoping that she was still alive and she would get okay.
Upon arriving at the hospital, Joseph confirmed that Tumwebaze, his elder sister, whom he had just spoken to about 4 hours earlier, had died.
It was a shock, a total shock.
Pamela had a phone conversation with Joseph at around 10 p.m. and was attacked and killed at around 2 a.m., 4 hours later. Had you ever heard Pamela saying maybe her life was in danger or intimating something like concerning her security, her life?
I was not aware of any active threat directly towards her.
Her death became part of the recorded homicides where the killers go for life, not property, leaving one question lingering in many relatives' minds. What was the motive? Tomorrow, we shall look at what transpired after the death of Pamela Tumwebaze. Sudhir Ruhanga, NTV.
Sudhir Ruhanga for that report, and we shall bring you the second part tomorrow. Now, with the Ramadan season coming towards the end of the second week, we turn to the lessons of the day, and which is a note on the importance of how to control one's tongue.
Ramadan, may Allah accept our fasting. Many people fast from food, but feast on words that wound others. They backbite, they lie. Ramadan calls us to purify speech, to replace gossip with remembrance, remembering God. Ramadan, it helps us to replace harshness with kindness, noise with wisdom. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, فَإِذَا كَانَ يَوْمُ صَوْمِ أَحَدِكُمْ فَلَا يَرْفُثْ. When one of you is fasting, avoid foul speech and ignorance.
Sudhir Ruhanga for that report, and we shall bring you the second part tomorrow. Now, with the Ramadan season coming towards the end of the second week, we turn to the lessons of the day, and which is a note on the importance of how to control one's tongue.
Ramadan, may Allah accept our fasting. Many people fast from food, but feast on words that wound others. They backbite, they lie. Ramadan calls us to purify speech, to replace gossip with remembrance, remembering God. Ramadan, it helps us to replace harshness with kindness, noise with wisdom. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, فَإِذَا كَانَ يَوْمُ صَوْمِ أَحَدِكُمْ فَلَا يَرْفُثْ. When one of you is fasting, avoid foul speech and ignorance. Do not backbite, do not gossip in Ramadan. The tongue that fasts becomes a door to peace with others and to peace with everybody. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us Ramadan that we restrain from backbiting, from gossiping, from lying, from harshfulness, and we prosper to peace.
This is my brother Miracle. Even his rivals love him.
What has magical skills? Has two has rings, yes!
He brings the game to life. My brother might be blind, but for him, football is not just about what we see. He's running, and he's but what we feel.
Welcome to Business. Uganda's labor externalization program is fast becoming one of the country's strongest foreign exchange pillars, with migrant workers sending home more than 5 trillion shillings in the last financial year. In a fragile global economy, those inflows are cushioning households and supporting domestic demand, turning exported labor into a strategic asset. Betty Ndagide reports.
Behind the billions is a weak governance system. More than 500,000 Ugandans arrested.
Military officer, without whether he even has a previous labor space background. We have only one in Qatar and we have only one in UAE. That is so ineffective. But also, we do not have a standard and an effective reintegration policy. That's why many of our fellows have returned with mental disorders, others with even their contracts either non-paid, quarter or half paid, but no redresses.
We can also borrow how Philippines does. The Filipinos have got a very good system where anybody who is going out to work outside is regulated. And in every country, they have labor centers where their nationals report.
Lawmakers are now questioning whether enough is being reinvested to protect migrant workers. They cite underfunded embassies, poor data and limited support system, warning that without stronger coordination, the sector risks remaining exposed.
The most important action now is to ensure that what we see missing is incorporated into the budget framework paper. When we look at the budgets allocated to this sector of labor externalization, it is falling short of some important issues, especially safety. The offices, the embassies are not given money to monitor, to do oversight. A lot of money is actually accessed from these companies and from our laborers in what we call non-tax revenues. But for example, if the sector generates over 30 billions, we need to agree what should come back to the sector to help in the monitoring. We are earning a lot from this sector, but we have failed to invest even a quarter in this sector.
For Uganda, the debate is no longer whether to export labor, but how to manage it responsibly. As remittances rise, pressure is mounting to match economic gains with real protection. Betty Ndagire, Ntv Business.
Still in business tonight, Uganda has launched a landmark 1.4 trillion shillings, that is $400 million, waste-to-waste power project at Namamve Industrial Park, aimed at tackling the country's mounting garbage crisis while boosting electricity supply. The facility, developed in partnership with NLS Waste Power Plant, will incinerate 1,500 tons of waste daily to generate 45 megawatts of power, which shall be added onto the national grid. Energy State Minister Okasai Opolot says the project will ease pressure on the Chiteze landfill, create jobs and cut pollution, marking a major step in turning trash into opportunity.
NLS Waste Power Plant is expected to be operational within the next 3 years. The project is designed to ease the country's waste management burden, cutting pressure on landfills, strengthen the country's energy mix, and offer sustainable solution to garbage disposal.
We have actually mapped the whole country for collection of waste, because we are going to need the waste. Instead of importing waste, we have actually mapped the country. How are we going to do this? There's a different transport systems. There's a railway which is going to come up to Namamve. So our plan is have different trucks all over the country. With those different trucks, we shall be able to collect waste, get to collection points, bale this waste, and then transport it on the railway straight to Namamve.
We are running away now from landfills, really, and we are going into more technical way of managing waste. And one of those is waste to energy. So we are saying that let's burn the waste, let's generate power, make it useful, instead of just dumping it somewhere and later on impacting communities. We saw what happened in Chiteze last time.
Energy State Minister Okasai Opolot says talks with President Yoweri Museveni are complete, clearing the way for Uganda's 1.4 trillion shillings waste-to-energy plant. The project will soon move into full implementation following the formulation of a waste management policy.
The policy is being written and is actually being spearheaded by the Minister of Local Government. So it is a policy that includes all of us.
The question is, what does the policy management entail?
In this, the waste segregation aspect is critical from source. If people can segregate plastics, segregate biodegradables or food waste, segregate paper, because we have paper recycling companies in the country, segregate metal.
Officials say the 1.4 trillion shillings facility will not only boost Uganda's energy supply, but also government efforts to tackle the city's growing waste crisis. Rachel Nabisui for NTV Business.
I'll take a look at the financial report.
Money markets.
Plant. The project will soon move into full implementation following the formulation of a waste management policy.
The policy is being written and is actually being spearheaded by the Minister of Local Government. So it is a policy that includes all of us.
The question is, what does the policy management entail?
In this, the waste segregation aspect is critical from source. If people can segregate plastics, segregate biodegradables or food waste, segregate paper, because we have paper recycling companies in the country, segregate metal.
Officials say the 1.4 trillion shillings facility will not only boost Uganda's energy supply, but also government efforts to tackle the city's growing waste crisis. Rachel Nabisubi for NTV Business.
I'll take a look at the financial report.
Money markets.
On NTV tonight, I'm Betty Mudondo together with Susan Mujawa and Nenda on sign language. Catch all those stories on our social media platforms and don't miss Sport Nights because it's coming up next.
Turning on your world.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to NTV Sport Nights, this second day of March 2026. I hope that you're all well. I hope you had a great weekend and a great start to your week. On the show today, we take stock of Uganda's preparations for the Africa Cup of Nations 2027, which it will be co-hosting with Kenya as well as Tanzania, and will be hosting the man, part of the team that is at the center of these preparations, Dr. Bennett Ogwell. He is the General Secretary of the National Council of Sports. He will be joining us to speak about every little thing when it does come to the preparations, from the stadiums to the accommodation facilities and everything that is needed when it does come to hosting such a huge tournament that Uganda, Kenya and Tanzania will be co-hosting come 2027. But away from that, there is so much more that is happening in the world of sports. So we'll be covering that, including the performance of the Silverbacks in our nightlights, and then the gentlemen will also be sharing their status. So there is plenty to look forward to. In case you want to join us online, the hashtag to use is NTV Sport Nights. On that note, we'll get into the panel and then get into the starters without wasting any more seconds, because we have a huge discussion that we have to get into in just a bit. It is a full house yet again. Always a pleasure to be here when it's a full house. There has not been a bit of globetrotting in the recent past, and we've got to take the chances and be glad. Emanzi, good to have you.
Yeah, happy to be here.
I didn't give you your full introduction. Emanzi Ndiamhachi, writer with the Daily Monitor, founder of Side Out Africa, but most importantly, a panelist here on the show. Andrew. Andrew is the founder of Legends Marathon. He's the brain behind the game of life, writer with the Daily Monitor, but also most importantly, a panelist here on NTV Sport Nice. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Happy to be back. So disappointed I missed predictions last week, but we'll catch up.